Okay, folks, we are back at it again. This is another Intimate Conversations with Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas. I am Danny Terrell. I am currently not at home because I'm just not at home. So I'm here. I hope you all are doing well today. I hope y'all can hear me. In these COVID times, you got to, what's the word? You got to be ready in them COVID times. So, bring in our guests today. Okay, folks. We're just waiting on them. Okay. Hello, I think I'm ready now. I hope y'all can hear me. Again, I am Danny Terrell. I am your host of Intimate Conversations with Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas. I hope this internet is going to be okay. If not, life, it's the devil. I wanted to get started with our land acknowledgement today. We just trying to wait to see if this internet going to work. Because I may have to move to another place right now. I may have to move where we can get some internet. Let me try that. There we go. Get out of the room into a whole nother space. Let's try this again, people. So, let's move on to our land acknowledgement today. There you are.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yes. Just starting with the land acknowledgement. We at Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish people, past and present, and we honor them with gratitude. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish tribe. We acknowledge that we are on land that is stolen from the traditional home of the coastal Salish people. The Duwamish ancestors were killed, brutalized, and stripped of their humanity. We lift up their work. We hold their pain and their joy as we honor them with our work today. Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas understands that we come from enslaved African people that endured countless acts of torture and humiliation, both during and after the Middle Passage, and we're still going through that today. We bring into the space those thousands of Africans that did not make it to see this land. The work we do today is on the backs and shoulders of the original people of this land and our ancestors who now guide us. We sit in this space to honor African people and their descendants and to give back to the original people of this land. To our ancestors, we thank you, we see you, we invite you into this space with us so we can lift up your names and honor your work. Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas is a nonprofit organization solely dedicated to presenting emerging Black arts, artists, and ideas in the Seattle area. We believe in the value of community, creativity, identity, and passion. These values serve as our strategic frame and guide our day-to-day operations and program decisions. Child, I'm about to take this off because I can't breathe. Saying that's too many words.
It's a lot of words, honey. You did
It's
good.
a lot of
I was
words.
impressed.
I was like, that's okay. I'm working inside of a theater, so if you see people moving through, we just working today. So I'm not at home today. That's why my mug ain't beat.
Oh, your mug is beat, baby. It looks good.
It ain't beat with no cover up because right now I did not sleep.
Maybe
Jaelynn,
you're born with it, baby. Maybe.
whew, maybe. That's a maybe. I want to welcome our guest today, Jaelynn Scott. Jaelynn moved, I'm going to read a little bit of her bio. Jaelynn moved to the Pacific Northwest from Denver to serve as Minister and Director of Unitarian Universalist Education Program. In her previous careers, she has worked as a Director of HR, Operations and Education, She regularly preached and facilitated workshops on justice and mindfulness in her previous career as minister and religious educator. She is passionate about queer and trans liberation, sacred practices and self-care, decolonizing labor practices, and mindfulness in the workspace. And so if you've been tuning in, you know I ask folks these questions. What Black love looks like? What does Black love look like? And Jaelynn wrote, Black love looks like the collective realization of the nature of mind and the spreading of magic and wisdom that arises from this realization. How are you putting Black love in the world today, Jaelynn?
Oh, baby. Baby. I want to, can we start with acknowledging we had a huge loss in our community.
Yes.
Constance Blakely, who was a sister. And, I just actually met Constance because she had moved away and came back. Was really big in the community before and came back just on fire. Helped out, in the current movement and insurrection. In addition to being active with the Trans Women of Color Solidarity Network.
Yes.
She was on the board of directors at my organization, Lavender Rights Project. Just really, I always said to her a number of times, look, I don't know how you're doing all of this and all of this good work. And, I really was nervous going into, I started as an executive director in June, and I was nervous going into what at the time was a mostly white organization. That's changed in the short few months. But and having a board of directors that didn't necessarily represent the community, that's also changing. And I just know how nonprofits can be toxic to Black bodies and myself. And I told Constance this, and she was like, well, what can I do to help? And I said, kind of jokingly, well, besides being on the board and backing me up, I don't know. And she was like, okay, I'm in. And right. it was that quick with her. It was that easy for her to see, and she just constantly empowered me and told me how great I was doing and told me I was loved and told me how impressed she was with me. And it was me who was impressed by her and loved her and saw the power that she had in community. So it's a huge loss for us right now. I think I want to model her in the way that I'm putting out Black love in the community. I often, work in systems. I don't consider myself an activist. If I do any organizing, it's really just building of infrastructure and systems to support. And, sometimes that can get a little hard to and technical and processes, right. And it doesn't really come from a place of love sometimes. And seeing that the effectiveness of the work that she was doing coming from a place of like, where's my sister at? What's she need? How can I tell her every single day how much I love her? Right. Whoever those sisters were to her. And I think that's how I want to start putting in the world, love in the world again. I think that's my new goal.
Awesome. And I always start with this one question or add this question in, and we've already talked about Constance. Who else are you bringing into this space today, and what else are you bringing into this space today?
Oh, yeah. I'm bringing in the news and balancing my own path away from hate and wishing others harm. Really trying to hold on to that right now. So I'm holding on to it. It's not my labor to work on that particular person, but I certainly am trying not to hate and wish someone's death. So that's what I'm working on bringing into this space. But
that's real.
The other source I think is my grandmother. She's always with me, always here. Always providing guidance and spirituality. She's my ancestor that partners with me.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you. It's so outside of like doing these conversations, I'm doing my best to model that same thing. My apologies, folks. Hold on one second. When you ain't at home and don't have your stuff around you.
Don't let me, right?
um, I I made a choice a while ago to try to like put out a little bit more positivity via my social media and stay away from negativity. Now
Mm,
people know me, like I am one shady diva, and I have, and look, we are who we are. We are who we are, and you just embrace that. But also, that does not mean that you can't put out positivity. So I'm glad that you said that. Yeah, the person in the office is sick, and you don't want to wish harm on people, but also we just like told you so, like you like told you so. And again,
that's the
you
response.
right. So, it is what it is. I'm also, not to the point of just trying to put away the harm and hurt that
That's right.
that that he has caused
That's
people.
right. That's right.
Even during this time, it's just like, well, the thing that's happening to you was the thing that happened to people, you didn't care about them.
That's right.
So that's
That's
why we
right.
have the many people dead that we have. But anyway, that's not about that. But I love the fact that you said, trying to hold on to some positivity despite, you know,
I'm
some
hold
things.
I'm yet holding
Yes.
on. Yeah.
Yes. So the thing, and I know I knew this about you because we are still like in the process of getting to know each other. We've been in space together.
Hmm.
But I wanted to ask more questions about like what got you into ministry?
Yeah. I I think it was, growing up thinking about my grandmother. It's interesting because it feels like right now I'm as executive director of a legal organization that does programming work around,
Mm-hmm.
Black life and also other legal stuff. It doesn't really feel like I'm in ministry.
Mm,
There's a thing that's community ministry, but I'm trying to figure out where is my relationship to it at this moment,
mm-hmm.
because I sort of left after frustration with, there's a lot of accountability. I'm a Buddhist. I
Right.
was ordained by Bhante Chalto, who is in Los Angeles. And he
Mm-hmm.
really was doing this sort of social ministry work and hoping that he could um, empower his ministers to do some of that also. And so in the Buddhist community, not his, but others, there's been a lot of reports of gurus and sexual assault, given
Mm,
its own sort of Me Too movement happening there, as
right.
well as racism that's always happened in that community. And I sort of backed away. But, maybe bringing my grandmother in returns me to that initial um, moment of calling, which is, it sort of was I was called. Like it
Right.
didn't feel like it was an internal choice. It was from age 8 or 9. My grandmother went to a sanctified church, old sanctified church in Mississippi, and I mean
Yes.
they old sanctified church, and so I mean 3 4 hours in church. I mean people exorcisms in the corner of the room with a whole bunch of paper
Mm,
towels under them, some serious
right.
shouting, washboards. Well, I may have seen 1 or 2 washboards. And she had a prophetess minister, Bishop Myrtle McAllister. I remember her.
Mm,
And she called me up, and I was terrified because what I thought she was going to call me up was for my queerness. I mean, I
right.
was terrified because I knew about at that time. I had to be 9, and she said, "You're gonna be a preacher. You're gonna preach."
Mm,
And that's all she had to say to me. And I was like, she has to know, as effeminate as I am, something's
right.
going on with me. And it was affirming, and I felt seen, that I could
Mm,
actually be something in the world. And the thing that she probably most respected, which was ministry. And so that was it. And it was a winding path. Christianity didn't work out necessarily. But it worked in Buddhism. I went to Naropa University, did my divinity degree,
mm-hmm.
and moved into starting to do ministry, mostly in the Unitarian Universalist Church because Buddhists don't pay anything. So
Right.
that's why I went there. But I think it was the calling, and I do still
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's ministry happening now. And my grandmothers were ministers. My aunt was a pastor. It's
Mm-hmm.
always the women in my family, and one man who have been doing ministry and have the call, and the gifts of
Mm-hmm.
spirits. And so hopefully I've inherited some of that.
Mm-hmm. And ministry, it's what I'm finding out. The more that the more that I know about myself, the more that I know about life is like it is not this idea of a Christian church. Like,
Mm, mm-hmm.
um, and then when we say ministry, our mind immediately goes to this particular place. Ministry could be walking down the street and just saying hello to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
because somebody did that to me, and it was ministry.
That's right.
They said hello in that particular way that just got you crying in tears because of
Child.
that hello that you knew that meant something. Um,
Baby.
trans,
Oh,
go
go ahead.
ahead,
I'm
go,
sorry.
no,
I
go,
was
go, go, go.
just on that one. I was in the grocery store, and I had been
Hmm.
struggling with just started transitioning, and I was struggling trying to figure out what the hell to do with my hair. I mean, like it was just like a solution I could not figure out. It was such a
Hmm.
struggle. Caused so much pain, so much dysphoria,
Right,
and I was looking a mess. I was scared to go to the grocery store, terrified of shopping, working with my
right.
therapist on it because I wouldn't eat.
Mm,
And so finally, I was just like, I gotta go get some food. So I went in, was nervous and anxious and shaking and thinking everyone was looking at me and talking about me. And
right.
I was like, I gotta get some booze. So I went to the counter to go get a little drink just to calm myself down afterwards. And the woman behind the counter said, "Your hair is so beautiful. You are so
Mm,
beautiful, baby, baby.
see,
Let me tell you,
right.
and my hair was a mess. I do want to tell you that, but let me tell you what that did for me. Mm, I'm almost in
It's
tears now.
like when them people know they know.
They know,
It's
they know.
like and that's the beautiful thing just about just human connection, period.
Hmm.
When people know they know, and again, that's ministry.
That's it.
That's
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 it.
the whole, yes, that's the thing right there. You are a very powerful black trans woman,
Thank you.
in my opinion, because it's my show, so it's my opinion. But I think that is true. What got you to that point?
That's a question. Um, a lot of fight. You
Hmm.
know, a lot of fight. I think I, for so many years, was fighting for my existence just as a queer person in
Mm-hmm.
this world. And I,
Mm-hmm.
particularly around transness, since we contextualize it there, early knew about maybe 18, 19. I had one friend who transitioned, and then another friend who I probably would put that label on them also, but Black folks weren't, at the time, weren't really using that type of language about what was going on.
Exactly.
They were just getting their shots, right? And I knew something was up,
Right.
and so I started working on like trying out nails, trying out clothes, trying out a few things, and my family shut it down real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I sort of made a promise about them to, you know, not disrespect them. And I lived that way till, honestly, till 39, and knowing that I was not, something wasn't right, and that I
Mm,
needed to step into my own. And it's just everything was wrong, everything was off, everything was broken. But I fought, and I fought through it, and
right.
I stood strong, and I fell, and I got up, and I fell, and I got up. And so, child, finally, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And so
Right.
I transitioned. And from then on, it's like, I'm not doing this shit no more. Sorry, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm
Oh,
not.
oh no.
Okay.
Say the language you need to
I
say.
am not going to do this shit no more. I'm not going to compromise who I am anymore. I spent
Right.
so many years suffering. And it was my own hand. Now, there's social circumstances and conditions for that, but like really, I'm not doing that to myself. And so I
Right.
think that that's just where it is. I'm sure I know what I'm going to be doing. I know what I need. and being clear about that and my boundaries. Maybe that's it.
You about to make me real ugly cry right now. Like for real. I'm trying to hold it together. Um,
Baby. Mm.
it's it's so interesting. I'm at that point in my life. And just dealing with myself, like where does my freedom lie?
Mm.
And lately it's been like I want to look in the mirror and I want to love and respect the person that I see back.
Yes.
And part of that is moving into my identity with the help of two very beautiful friends of mine. Um,
Mm.
and right now it's just like I'm telling I'm like I'm on the trans spectrum. I don't know what that means,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that that is the term that feels right for me right now.
That's right.
And I'm like, am I copping out? Am I not fully? And I was just like, no. I was like, you love all parts of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and so that means encompassing all parts. So I just thank you for that affirmation is what I'm trying to say. Um, the more that I walk in my identity, and I think the more that other people walk into their identity, we need to hear that. We need to hear those affirmations again. Ministry.
Ministry.
I'm just gonna keep putting that out there. You work with a lot of younger Black trans women.
Yeah.
Um,
With the Washington Black Trans Task Force. Yeah.
yes, yes, and I wanted to get into that more, but I really wanted to get into um, the mentorship and what is that? What does that look like? Because we have again, trans identity is on a spectrum, and it's also not a monolith.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have our trans women that are sex workers. We have our trans
That's
women
right.
that are in corporate office. We have our trans women across the board, and everyone inside of that needs mentorship.
That's right.
Everybody needs it. And what does that mean to you? What does that look like for you? And again, I'm saying that because no matter where you are at in your life, no matter what you're doing, one, sex work is work, and
Yes, it is.
and sometimes a lot of times sex work is better than corporate work. Let's be real. I'm just, but we all need mentorship. And what does that look like for you? And what does that feel like for you?
Yeah. Okay, so I be trying to pretend like I'm real young. And
You and me both.
baby, I'm just, 40 was so, it was empowering in the one way that we talked about, but it was so hard, and
Mm,
aging. And I'm like, oh, my life is not going to go on forever. And it's been yeah, that coupled with my Buddhism, I'm told to contemplate this, but
right,
but shit got real at
right.
40. Like, this is actually a reality.
Yes.
I'm possibly halfway or more, or maybe a little less, over my life. And so, um, but I still don't want it yet. So with the group, I'm like, I'm just a member. I'm just one of the girls. And in many ways, that's true. But some of them have started calling me, auntie and mother and, et cetera. And I'm like, well, it was not intentional,
Right.
and I feel like on my end, um, I am learning so much from them. So, and I'm not even like, it's cliche, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, hackneyed, I think is the word, but it's true. Like, I really am just so enamored and like
Mm-hmm.
just floored by the brilliance of those folks in that room, whether or
Yes.
not they're doing sex work or organizing or dance or the
Right.
arts, what they bring to me, to the organization, is like really profound. And, for instance, some of them have joined our legal services meeting with all these attorneys who've been in law school, right? And
Mm-hmm.
done all of this work. And there's a certain level of prestige, that happens in my community. So they've sat in those meetings and started providing leadership in those meetings, stuff that we never
We'll
would have
think
come
of
out, never would have thought of, that we absolutely needed,
right.
much more brilliant than some of the other ideas that have come out of there in a while.
So true.
So, I feel like maybe mentorship is seeing that in people. That's all it
Mm-hmm.
is. It's in me looking at my girls, my non-binary folk, and being like, I love y'all so, I'm so devoted to you, and
Right.
I will respect and worship every single aspect of your beauty. And I think just them knowing that, just them being able to bring that to me and to highlight that and
Mm-hmm.
live that, maybe that's mentorship, because I ain't
Right.
teaching them nothing.
See.
I'm loving on them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would argue to say that you all are teaching each other things.
Okay. I'll
I'm
give you
gonna argue that one. And I appreciate what you're saying. Again, it's I am closer to 50 than I am closer to 40.
mm,
and
looking
and
good, baby. Woo,
thank you. It's hanging around them young
so
folk for
glad.
real. And
Ancestors, thank you.
yes, and just appreciating again, just appreciating the fact that it's just like you hit that mark and you think one thing, and then
Hmm.
life shows you something else. And I tell people I feel better now being 46 than I did in my 20s. That's just me personally.
Mm,
Um, I just feel more alive right now.
I agree.
Uh, yeah, it's just a different thing, and just being and the way that I will say this, the one thing about the Seattle queer community, especially Black queer community, if you are past a certain age, they're still loving on you and embracing you.
That's right.
They're still there supporting you. They're still there making you feel like a part of the family. And
That's
you
right.
can't, and I don't find that in a lot of communities. So big shout out to the Seattle queer community, especially Black, trans, and non-binary community.
I mean,
Um,
I kind of find that in queer, especially Black queer
well,
community in
yeah,
general, outside of hooking up. I mean, like you had a few
yes,
people who like, you know, them daddies, but
yes,
other than that, you know, I just remember going to the club and hanging out with, you know, 40, 50 year olds
yeah,
and just kikiing, you know. So I do appreciate that about Black queer community in general, but especially here, I am
mm-hmm,
seeing, and it may be age, you know, that, but I
yeah,
just am, I'm seeing a different response to me and a loving response is coming from them. I agree with you. Yeah.
right, yes. I wanted to move into, and anybody knows me, my conversations don't have a beginning, middle, and an end. It just things that pop up to me, and always just loving to get, to talk to the people that I talk to. But I wanted to talk on the number of Black trans deaths that has taken place, and nothing is happening. I feel
Mm-mm,
like
mm-mm,
I just
mm-mm.
I'm trying to hold it together.
Me too. Mm-mm.
We keep talking, and I just keep asking the question, when is something going to happen? And I feel helpless.
Yep.
Do you have any collective ways people can do better? And that's such a, like, I don't even want to say do better. I don't know what to say. That's
Yeah.
the sad part.
Yeah.
Ugh. I just,
Mm.
a majority of my friends are trans women and some trans men, and they are Black. And I know I sit in privilege,
Yep.
and it just hurts to know that one day they cannot be here. Like, that is a reality. It's not like, oh, no, it is such a clear reality to me.
Yep.
Like, anytime that a Randy Ford leaves my house, I am not okay until she says I'm at home.
That's right.
So what do we do?
And we're some of the oldest trans people that we know. Black trans people.
Yes.
I, you know, I don't know. And I have been, you know, starting the Washington Black Trans Task Force.
Yes.
The hope was that we could figure out something. Um, Looking at and posting so many deaths and seeing the numbers increase and my fear for those girls and
Yes.
hearing the stories of people that come to us for direct services. It's just, and you know, even with the recent death of our community member, the circumstances that it may not be even be a violence, but other things, depression, heart failure, whatever it is, our
Right.
health because of. And I struggle with, what are we doing right? Okay, with the task force, I'm like, can we get community for the girls in the task force and empower them in places of leadership, just because that never happens? And then can we take care of the most immediate thing that people have been hollering us about, and that's housing?
Right.
And so, people are like, I need a safe place to stay. Like, all the other stuff, whatever, but I need a safe place to stay. So figuring
Yes.
that out first. But
Yes.
past that, I'm just like, how do we interrupt violence, particularly when it's coming from our own community? Like, we don't want
Yes.
carceral solutions. We don't want to involve the police. We don't want to involve, the criminal justice system. But we don't want to empower folk to continue this with us. And,
Exactly.
I've gone between, I mean, we need, I just remember, in Chicago, for instance, one of the favorite pastimes of white researchers was to go and try to figure out what is the solution and research that'll help the problem of violence in Southside Chicago, because that's
Right.
all that ever happens in Southside Chicago, apparently.
Mm.
And, there was, at some point, a pretty good analysis. I believe the CDC jumped in and did a sort
Mm-hmm.
of epidemic analysis there, and figuring out how you disrupt sort of a pandemic, right?
Right.
Um, Using those same solutions and applying to the problem of violence. It was really impressive. And this may have been like
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago. And it's like we need that level of dedicated research, not from our Black researchers, because I trust them more, but also, they can lead. And,
Right.
UW, whoever, jump in and figure out, how do we disrupt this violence? What academic solution, what spiritual solution from the religious community, what solutions have worked in the cisgender community for disruption of
Right.
violence, and figure out how to apply it here. But we have to actually be committed to wanting to see an end to it. And it's been hard to even get people to admit that we're human.
Right.
So, right, to get them to dedicate hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, to this problem
Right.
is going to be really difficult. That's a difficult push right now, is convincing people that it is a big enough problem.
Right.
And I'm not saying that research is going to fix it, but I really just think we need to get the community together, community solutions too, like all of us, research, community, religious community, spiritual community, figuring out together, how do we actually get rid of this thing? And
Right.
it can be disrupted. That I do know. I got so much faith in it. It can be disrupted. It can be. It took Matthew Shepard for the LGBTQ
Yes.
community for us to get some progress there, right? It usually takes a white man,
But
good
even in that
men in the South.
progress,
Yeah.
right,
Sorry,
that
go ahead.
progress was for, no, 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 I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to be clear that progress was for white people.
It was for white people, right? And so like, looking back, I was talking to my partner, and he was like, well, can we look back at each of these advances, although they weren't for us and they weren't perfect, what actually was the sort of moment, the galvanizing moment, the moment that
Right.
changed everything, and figuring out if we can repeat the same. I mean, I think all of us, all Black trans people, all Black non-binary folk, gender diverse people, are worried about this and trying to figure this out.
Right.
And yeah, it's critical.
I I'm just gonna do what I do, just bring things up. Um, I We all know that the task force is looking for housing and that, and we know that there are organizations willing to help you all. And I will say my frustration with that is that no one's asking you all what you need immediately.
Yeah.
And again, it's about, and you don't have to speak on it. I'm speaking on it. So you keep your mouth quiet. I will speak on it. And I bring that up to say that again, Black trans people, we're like, stop killing us. We need help in that department.
Yes, we do.
Um,
That's exactly
and
what we need.
everything else is great and gravy, but we still have to defend ourselves when we go out on the streets.
That's right. That's right. And
Um,
everything we're doing is just for that. The housing, whatever
yes,
it is, we're trying to
yes,
get y'all to not kill us. Just stop.
yes. And while you are trying to fight over being the ones to help us, you're not helping us in the way that we need to help.
Because we
Like,
just don't
don't,
want to die.
yes, the money and all that stuff, it's great, it's beautiful, it's lovely. Do it. Give us the money, give us
That's
all of
right.
those resources. But the thing is, stop killing us. We don't want to die. We are Black trans people that don't want to die. So where can that fit into your initiative?
That's right.
And I just want to bring that up because you are with the Lavender Rights Project, you are with the Washington Black Trans Task Force, and there's TWACs and there's all of these people doing work.
Hmm.
And again, Black trans people, especially Black trans women and femmes, are still dying.
They still are.
And no one's saying, truly, how can we protect you all?
That's right.
And again, everything else is great, and we know resources for Black trans people are limited.
That's right.
Black trans people are in fear of, if resources are given to them, if they speak out in certain ways, that they'll be taken away. And I'm speaking because this stuff is real, and I don't think people are actually getting it. Again,
Jobs
I
taking away like that. Jobs
yes,
gone like
yes,
that. Yep.
yes. And how do we make sure? How does the community, the Seattle community, make sure organizations like Lavender Rights and the Task Force and TWACS and all those organizations survive without the fear of, one, resources being taken away, and
That's
also
right.
coming to the table and being heard?
That's right.
How do we make that happen?
It hasn't, it just not speaking of one specific agency or group, but
Right.
it as a collective in Seattle, the approach has not been good. It's like we know what we want to do for y'all and we're going to come in and do it.
Right.
Or, hey, we would like to come and hear what you have to say, but this is exactly what we need y'all to do, to
Right.
get your own stuff. You know, I think, what is it that is the mission statement of this group? You could
Hmm.
just look at it and then say, oh, I see y'all are working on trying to end violence against Black trans women. How do we help you do that? Like, that simple question, because that question has never come up.
Right.
It's never come up. And what is it that we can do in our world and with our resources to end it, to
Right.
disrupt violence? They just haven't asked the question. So I do think some thoughts about recentering their work to include Black trans folk is happening, right?
Hmm.
I will give people that.
Right.
They haven't quite figured out how to do it. They haven't quite figured
Right.
out how to include the voices that need to be included on the
Right.
front end and not the back end. But I want to say that they at least have listened to y'all have not censored us.
Right.
So, but it's time to move beyond that because we don't have time to be, working with y'all to get your mission together. You know, help us stop people from being killed in this country,
Right.
Black trans folk from being killed in this country, and
Right.
come help us figure out a solution. And
Right.
don't ask us for the solution because obviously, if we had it, we would have been all right.
Right. And again, I'm not bringing this up to try to call out any specific thing. I just think, again, using this platform to listen to Black trans people. And so she is letting you all know what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you scratching your head trying to figure it out, she just told you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it
Mm-hmm.
cannot be any clearer than what Jaelynn just said. Like, it cannot be any clearer. And if you still don't get it after this, then there's something wrong with you. It's not anything wrong with Black trans people. It never is anything wrong with Black trans
It's
people.
never, never.
It's something wrong with you because she just put it out there. I just wanted to throw that out there because, again, um, I just want people to hear what's happening and what's going on. Um, for people that's working in the community, that's fighting every single day, what does the Black Trans Task Force mean to you?
Mm. Mm. They help me get out of the bed in the morning.
Mm,
They help me get up, get out of the bed, step out of my home, but to step out of
good.
my home
Mm-hmm.
and know that I am beautiful, that I deserve life,
Right.
that I am normal, that I am, you know. They help
Yes.
me get up in the morning,
Mm,
every morning.
mm-hmm. What does it mean for you to be a Black trans woman that is the executive director of the Lavender Rights Project?
Baby.
We started with some joy, and then we go, and we know it's still joyful, but
It's a,
there's stuff.
it's a fantastic organization. And I will say that there's been a
Yes.
lot of flexibility and a lot of accountability on the side of the
Good.
employees, both present and those
Mm-hmm.
who've left. I there was an intentional decision by the former executive director, who's now our lead attorney, to, center her work on what the mission said and to figure out whether or not she was the person to actually fulfill the mission. And, to Morgan Mentor's, credit, she was like, no, that's not my work. I am here to do legal support, and whatever you need me to do legally, I will fight in court for y'all. And
Say
so
that.
let's center. And the rest of the organization as a whole has also followed suit. They've said, we want to center the most marginal in our community, the most beloved in our community, Black, trans, and gender diverse people in our work. Now, are there a whole lot of problems? Is there a lot of cultural conflict? Are there some, Seattle passive aggressiveness stuff going on? Of
Right.
course. But that they are willing to step into it and lean to it and continue the conversations. I'm honored and I'm delighted. Um, but I also know that executive directorship is really toxic for Black people. And so
Yes.
I want to be present and aware of that. This isn't a job that is the most healthy for me. But
Mm,
at the moment, we're doing some good work and we're centering the right people.
beautiful. That's beautiful. To move it away from work, um, as a Black trans woman moving through this world, what are you the most excited about right now?
Yeah, and my battery's low and I can't find my charger, but I'll let you know. What am I most excited about? I'm at this moment, I'm really excited about my personal relationship and my family
Yeah.
that's growing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I am not the work, right? I'm not this job. I'm not the
Right.
conflicts that happen around the task force. I'm
Right.
not any of that. Um, I am at my best when I am in loving relationship with my partner and my family. And I lost so much family and relationships
Mm,
with family that I'm now building this thing again in a
right.
loving and intentional way. Like that's what brings me excitement, because that's what I'm going to take to the grave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's beautiful. We're going to end soon. And folks out there, again, these conversations is so that you can dig deeper and understand the work that Jaelynn's doing. Also, at Jaelynn underscore Scott, send her some cash, send her some money. And y'all know me, I'm real on that. Like, she's done a lot of work for y'all today. So at Jaelynn underscore Scott, that is at JAELYNN underscore SCOTT. Send her some money. Also, donate to the Washington Black Trans Task Force,
Please
Lavender
do.
Rights Project. All of the she's over some incredible work, and it's rare that we open up space for Black trans women to have such beautiful positions in life, to actually effectively cause change and create change and make room for other Black trans women in life. So please
Yeah.
check out the task force, check out Lavender Rights. If you see anything, please give them money, donate to them. I hope you all get to understand Jaelynn a little bit more and just the work that she does and what she's passionate about. Next week, we have Miss Melanie George. That's October 10th. Melanie George is an artist, dancer, choreographer, dramaturg. After that, we have The Whitening of African Dance Part 2. That's October 17th. That's a full panel discussion. And then we have Showing Out, which will be November 2020, so look for that. Jaelynn, it's a pleasure to talk to you, and I can't wait to talk to you more off of here about just some more personal life things and some journeys as I am moving through my space of transition and moving more into. Now I got your number, so you know.
No. I think with Constance's passing, it's really important that we build loving relationship and make the time for it. So yes. And everyone else well, not everybody, but Black, trans, gender diverse Black folks, y'all want to reach out, let's chat.
Yes, please do. And always my last question for folks. I asked you what you were excited about, but I always like to end on Black joy because we don't talk about that enough and we don't get enough of that in our life. So what is your joy right now?
My joy is my hope. I haven't lost hope. I thought I had, but I haven't lost hope. And I think seeing the work progress a little bit, just a little, and the way that it makes me feel, and the way that that my heart just breaks at the possibility of finding a solution for Black trans women and femmes. Like, that's my hope right there. And so right now, my joy is my hope. It's still there. It's still just a little bit, but it's still there.
Right. That's so beautiful. Jaelynn, you are a beautiful, powerful person, and every time I'm around you, it's just a calming spirit.
Yeah, baby. Same here. Yeah. Yeah. You bring it out in me. I've been having chills this whole conversation.
Yeah. Sorry. Y'all, I ain't about to apologize. Y'all know I cry. Anyway.
I love you, baby.
I love you too. The world is definitely a better place with you here.
Thank you.
It really is. You are a rarity.
Thank you, baby.
You are a rarity, and folks, y'all need to understand what she's doing in this world. And she's doing it for Black trans women and femmes and non-binary folks. But I always say the work that Black people do is not just for Black people, it's for everybody.
It's for everybody.
So the work that she is doing right now, it is for all of y'all to live a better life. So Jaelynn, I thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I will be texting you soon so we can just kiki.
Please.
In that space. I love you. Give love to your love.
I will.
and your little animal love. Give love to your love, and congratulations on the new adventures.
Thank you, baby. And thanks for affirming me, and I love you.
Oh, you're welcome. I love you too.
I will tell you about your power next time we talk.
Yes. All right, everybody. This was Intimate Conversations. Thank you all again at Jaelynn_Scott, Lavender Rights Project, and the Washington Black Trans Task Force. I always get tongue-tied.
It's too long.
I'm like, Washington Black Chapter.
BTTF.
Right. And then I get bad with that. People know me. I'm just bad with certain words and phrases together. So thank you, Sharon Irie Williams, the Executive Director at Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas, always tuning in. She'll be checking up on me to make sure I'm doing my job correctly. That's all that is.
Hey, Sharon.
All right, Jaelynn, you have a beautiful weekend, and I will talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you.